Got a podcast called CEOCAST, accumulated over 263,000 subscribers, over 20 million views, 100 plus K on Instagram, and probably networked like crazy.
When did you realise it was going somewhere?
From the beginning, I always had the self-belief that it was going to take off and it's going to go far. I couldn't give up. I had no plan B. I've got no job, no income. I'm not qualified to get an income. It's all this or nothing.
Can you talk us through the Andrew Tate episode? That year, he was the most Googled man on the internet.
When the hate kicked in, it was mad. Literally, the second Andrew left, I sat down on my bed thinking, right, I've got a break. Second I sat down and put my head on the pillow, the boys were like, Tristan's outside.
Have you ever paid for a guest?
Yeah. Charged me £750. Like, I've got a goal to make $1 million in 1 year alone.
Can I ask you quite a deep question? How much do you make from the podcast?
Right now,
Raheem, thanks for coming down. We appreciate it.
appreciate you boys having me, man.
Does it feel weird potentially being on the other side for once? You're not really doing this often,
Yeah, but
right?
do you know what? I get a vibe from you guys that you just are lads just chilled out. So I feel like I'm actually excited for this conversation, just to see where it goes, to be fair.
Do you know what it is? We're all just like so intrigued. Like we've all watched you for a long time, and a lot of our stuff, even before we even started podcasting, like a lot of our stuff and like inspirations actually come. So I think naturally we've just got mad amount of questions just to ask
no, I
you.
appreciate it, bro. But let's go on, crack on with any questions you got.
Straight into it. Well, so for the listeners, obviously, just say who you are and what you do.
So I've got a podcast called CEOCAST, accumulated over 263,000 subscribers as of today, right now. Over 20 million views, 100 plus K on Instagram, and probably networked like crazy. And started in 2020, yeah. Nice.
So one of my first questions I'm intrigued about is obviously you've got a business podcast talking about business.
Mm-hmm.
Same here, we all have businesses. Did you have a business before starting the podcast?
No, not necessarily. Not like a business that I would class as, right, this is my baby, this is my business sort of thing. I've always been interested in business, but, you know, growing up, I wasn't that kid who sold sweets in school or anything like that. Done nothing in school, to be fair, apart from doss around, getting detentions and mess up my whole life. And then when I turned 18, one of my friends at the time, his family had a car hire firm. And then I was just like, right, I was working in retail at the same time, so I saved enough money, bought myself a car for the fleet, rented that out. That went pear-shaped because the car was stacked and that didn't go right.
Yeah, I've heard horror stories like that.
Horror stories,
every rental business.
Fully. So that wasn't so much worth it for me. And then did I do anything after that? No, not really, bro. And then I just got a job.
What was the job? What was the job doing?
I was working in BT 9 to 5 as a network engineer, office.
Oh, you was, yeah.
Yeah. No phone calls with any customers or anything like that. It was just straight. Do you know what? If you ask me, I don't even know what the job was, bro. I was only there for 6 months.
Turn up, but take the wage.
I promise you, this job was the most chilled out job when you think about it, because they didn't really provide us that much training. And so me and my co-worker who we joined up together, bro, we would just be on Netflix all day and just doing whatever we want. And they never used to ask if we're doing work or anything. They couldn't because they didn't train us. And then by the time we were going to start training, lockdown had hit. So at that point, they expected us to work from home. And I was like, sod that. And I started playing GTA all night, didn't turn up for work, and eventually got fired.
So did this start as a side hustle, or was this straight, you're just like, let's just
Full-time.
What, the
see?
podcast?
Yeah.
So the podcast is basically me having an understanding that, right, I do want a business. Because when I was working on the job, I was like, nah, this can't be the rest of my life. I think I was maybe 22, 23 years old roughly. And I was like, nah, we're not having it. And then I was like, right, I need to start a business. What business shall I start? Let me start with talking to business owners first and see where it gets.
Smart.
So then, yeah, it was smart in my head at the time. I don't know why. And then for whatever reason, the camera come along. And I didn't even look at the podcast so much as, yeah, this is going to be the business, but I just looked at it, right, as soon as I find my business, whether it be vehicle wrapping, whether it be marketing or sales or something like that, podcast, ditch it, scrap it, let's just go for that business. I found it now. And then I remember the second episode I done, the guy told me, watch, this is going to become your business. And I just laughed my head off thinking, what the hell are you talking about? Business on YouTube, you're crazy. And so, yeah, I suppose in the beginning it was just a hobby and just a way to find out what business I want to do. Yeah.
Who did you reach out to first? Like, would you just think, oh, my friend's uncle owns this business, let me interview him?
I remember the first day when I thought of the idea in the office, I was sat there and I was like, right, my mate's got a clothing line. Let me call him straight away. Funnily enough, he's actually not based too far away from me, somewhere in Croydon. And I just called him. I was like, all right, you got a business, you got a clothing line. What are you saying for an interview? And he was like, yeah, cool, let's do it. So that was the first one I ever done with someone that I know. And then off the back of that, I just started emailing everyone. And then the first podcast I've done with someone that I don't know was with a guy named Alex Chapman. He's got a detailing company down in Southend called AWC Detailing. He was, at the time, he was 18, 19 years old. And that was sick inspiration. But yeah, I look at that video now and I just cringe so hard because whenever you look back at your first videos, you're like, no.
Is it still up there?
Yeah, it's still up there.
Still up. I need to go
I've never
actually
removed
to
any of my
see
old videos. Yeah,
It's good to see like how far you've come though.
Yeah, that's why I like
100%.
keeping
Even
up
when
there,
you go
yeah.
back, maybe I don't know. Even when we go back 10 episodes, we're like, oh look, we're like leveling
How
up a
far
little
you've
bit.
come,
And it's
yeah,
like the
of course,
compound
yeah.
effect, right?
That's
That's what
it,
we
yeah.
say. That's what the Multipliers
It's
Club
always
is, right?
nice, you know, in 10 years' time when you lot boys are still doing this podcast and we're all in our mid-30s and you guys obviously
They're big-
70
they're
by
big
that
getting
time. 70, yeah. It's always good to look back at a podcast like this. and
We've done
think,
that
wow,
3
yeah.
years. 3 years between us.
It's always good to see how far you've come in just production quality-wise because things are naturally going to level up and improve. And you're going to look back at this episode thinking, you know what, boys, we've come a long way.
Yeah. I think, do you know what's funny? It's you get more and more just natural. So, you know, when you always look at people on camera, I used to think, oh, they're just so... You don't really think of it until you go on camera and then you see other people that seem so uptight or stiff or a bit awkward. And just the more you do it, it's the more you think, oh, actually, that is how I am off camera.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? Whereas it used to be like you watch that and you think, oh, I'm not even like that. But
Do you know, it's funny you say that because I remember in my first maybe 10 episodes or something like that, I wasn't say I was acting like something I wasn't, but I was coming off like a lot more of a professional person.
Yeah.
And when I look back at it now, that's just not me at all. And then slowly I just grew into the person who I am. Like if you meet me off camera versus on camera, it's 99% the same person.
Personality, right?
Personality,
You're not showing
yeah.
it, and that's exactly
But in the
same thing.
beginning, it was like literally back up straight, right? Tell me about your business. How are you doing, Charles? And all that sort of stuff. Like it was just crazy. I think maybe naturally because I thought I'm doing a podcast about business, I need to act.
Yeah.
professional
And also,
everything.
you put your guests on a pedestal sometimes, but then when you actually start speaking, they're just people. They're
just normal
humans
people,
at the
yeah,
end of the
literally,
day.
yeah. That's just normal people, yeah. And
Yeah.
to be fair, I wanted to portray that in the beginning of the podcast as well, to showcase that the people who come on as guests are just normal people.
Yeah.
That no disrespect to anyone, but they're no one special. They've just built incredible businesses. There's no difference between you and I and them, all that sort of stuff. So, but yeah, I don't know why. I think I was just nervous in the beginning, made myself seem more professional and something that I'm not.
When did you realize it was going somewhere?
Do you know what? From the beginning, I always had the self-belief that it was going to take off and it's going to go far. So I don't know when that feeling actually came in. I suppose if you look at it and views-wise, when it started to take off was probably on my 26th episode, I think it was, when I'd done an episode with my friend Mikey Mellin, who's also got a podcast now. He owned a restaurant at the time called Mellin in Chigwell. And that podcast just blew up. And I think at that point there, that's when I realised, right, I'm onto something. Cause
Why did that blow up?
I don't even know why, you know. I think...
Did he have a big following online?
No, not even. I think at the time he had maybe 7,000 followers, which, don't get me wrong, at the time when I'd done the podcast with him was a lot. Like 7,000 followers. And doing a podcast with a guy like that is crazy. But I think the way I titled it, he was 21 at the time. I must have titled it along the lines of 21-year-old opens a restaurant in London, the best restaurant in London, something along them lines. And that just blew up next level.
this is mainly YouTube.
Yeah, this is YouTube, yeah. And I think, to be fair, when I look back at the episode, we had great energy from the start, which probably makes sense of why we're best of friends now. And I suppose that was just an enjoyable episode to watch. So then when I saw that, the views went from, let's just say, 100 views in a week to that week got 10,000 views.
Wow.
I was like, this is next level. This is crazy.
Yeah.
I remember that episode allowed me to get monetized. That hit me over 1,000 subscribers, and the rest was history from that point. I was like, right, we're going to go full send on this now.
That's
Do you boys remember the first episode that you listened to of Raheem's?
Yeah, I want to hear this.
And I remember mine.
One. I've followed you for a long time, since single figure
Do you
thousands
remember?
on
Okay, is it?
socials.
Okay.
Yeah,
I can't remember
Interesting.
The first one, no.
I couldn't tell
What
you
was
the
your first one? No?
I couldn't remember.
Andrew Tate one.
Is it? Which
First
one?
one. The first
Okay,
original
yeah,
one. Where you must have been out the back of like.
Yeah,
some,
yeah, we was
Was
in
that
the
the back of Shisha Lounge or
Yeah,
something?
literally exactly
Yeah,
that. So
yeah.
I remember when I had to organise that episode, we had 2 days notice basically, and through a mutual friend, someone was just opening the Shisha Lounge. It wasn't open yet, but he said, yeah, let's do the episode there.
I remember, I didn't really even know who Andrew Tate was at that point. And I think that was literally, you caught him like a
such a
fucking,
great
like a
time,
meme
yeah.
coin, mate. Like the fucking...
like chill guy.
Yeah, literally, you caught him at fucking zero market cap, and he just went to 100
Bro,
million
do you know what?
market
It
cap.
was such a great time because I remember when I messaged him, a lot of people messaged me saying get Andrew Tate on. I was like, who the hell is this guy?
Did you not know who he was
I didn't know
either?
who he was either.
Yeah,
and then I
sick.
just looked at his Instagram account, 100k views, 100k followers.
Is that
I
what he
listened
had
to-
at the time?
Yeah. I listened to a couple of his podcasts. I was like, this guy speaks a good message. Let me get him on. And then I think as I got him on, when I recorded with him, he was on maybe 200k followers. And then 2 weeks after, when I released that video, he was in like 1.1 mil. And so I got him. And when the podcast released, it was literally on his meteoric rise. Like, as someone who's just pumped the coin, that's when I got him, basically. My podcast.
I knew it because
Say that again. Have you interviewed him once?
Twice.
Oh, maybe because I was thinking maybe I saw him the second time then. Maybe I haven't seen the first one.
You've not seen the first one?
Maybe
No.
not.
That was
First
quite a
one-
few years ago, isn't it?
Yeah, that was
like
2022.
Was that 3 years?
2 years now, yeah.
Yeah, 2 years.
I
Yeah.
remember it. And then it was like a pump and dump for you, innit? It was a pump and dump because I remember it went up and then you said, and then it came crashing down. When the hate kicked in.
Yeah, when the hate kicked in, it was mad.
I was swear, did you get a lot of hate for it?
I didn't, but I think naturally a lot of people are going to hate on the comments and stuff like that anyway, which I suppose translates into hate towards the channel because they're thinking, right, you're promoting this guy who does X, Y, Z.
They blocked all your views, didn't they?
Yeah, they blocked the views, they blocked the monetization. And
That was on the second video though, wasn't it?
they done it in the first as well.
Done it on the first?
Yeah. They done it on the first as well, but a lot more on the second, I suppose.
Yeah.
Man.
So just for that video, they block it for. So like the next video, you can still get monetized. Yeah.
exactly.
Oh, so it's not like you're shadow banned for a bit with other videos.
No.
Oh, that's not too bad. It's worth it then. Still.
Yeah, worth it, yeah.
The atmosphere was absolutely electric.
The speakers that Matt gets, who are always phenomenal.
It's so inspirational, it's so motivational.
Speaker for everyone.
I seriously think out of everything I've ever done, putting on these events is the thing I enjoy the most, and it has the potential to genuinely impact every single area of life.
This is a place where I felt really comfortable as someone who's just started up my own business.
If you're a business owner, if you are looking to start a business like I've recently done, this is the perfect thing to do.
No matter what stage you are at in starting a business, what your ambition is, every speaker you'll find something you can relate to.
Everybody in there today have learned so much and it's been such a cracking time. So you know what, if there's another one, I'm there. If you haven't been to one of these events, get your tickets if you haven't got them.
If you take action, I can almost 100% guarantee you that it will positively change your life.
So a question I had is based off, obviously initially you said the plan was to do the podcast till we found the business idea. Based off everything you've learned from all the guests, let's step aside from the CEOCAST brand. I know you're doing some other businesses around that. If you had to start a business now, what would you go for?
That's interesting, because now I can't imagine myself doing anything else but content and a podcast. But if I had to do something, I would probably say, and it can't be anything content related, or
Just, I guess it could be, but just not
Do
CEOCAST.
one content and one non-content.
content related. I suppose this is kind of what I'm going to be doing in the future, almost like showcasing and monetizing my skills by helping other YouTube creators and almost like mentor them in blow up basically. Non-content related, it's got to be something within cars.
I was about to say, it's going to be cars, 100.
Car sales. Yeah,
Well, who's the guy out in Dubai that you done who has the rental
Supercars.
garage?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that
Yeah,
one was
that's a good one.
sick.
I've seen that,
Yeah.
He's a good inspiration as well. So I'll probably be doing something along the lines of that if I didn't have a podcast.
These guys are such like influential guys, like running like huge businesses. Like, how do you? Obviously, we work around sort of networking. How do you get from zero to like Andrew Tate or zero to Imran Ghazi? Like, how does it work?
I would love to say the simple answer of shoot your shot because you'll never know until you try. However, the reality of it is you just got to work your way up to it. You will have, for example, you guys had Mario on, then you had me on. Through Mario's messaged me to, come on. So that was a way in. Off the back of me, I'll say to you guys, look, you want anyone else on, let me know. And then I suppose you just kind of work your way up like that. Naturally, your views and, subscribers will rise. And I think it's just a numbers game pretty much.
They say you're only like 3 people away from someone else, right? So you kind of worked through
most
your
of the people
network.
I've had my podcast, I've literally been off the back of my previous podcast. Like I'll say to someone, if you've got anyone else who's up for a podcast, let me know and we can do it. Through Tate I'd not necessarily done podcasts with them, but I've met and spoken to his whole team. I've done a podcast with Ahmed Anwar because these names, you don't have to be directly related or referred through them, but they see that and they're like, right, I'll get them on. Nico Leonard was off the back of Tate as well because I said to him, look, I just done a podcast with Tate. What are you saying? You want to do one? He was like, yeah, cool. So I suppose it's just kind of like referrals, but also just building your portfolio. That's the way I look at it. Once you build your portfolio, more people are more inclined to jump on.
Have you had a lot of people on that, whether you learned it afterwards or whilst having the conversation, that actually thought, you know what, I think you're a bit of a blagger, or the business isn't all that it's made out to be?
No, there's no one in particular that comes to mind. If that was the case, I don't really drop the video.
Have you not released an episode before when you've had a guest on?
Not because of that, mainly because the footage might have been corrupted or it just didn't come out as well as I wanted it to. For example, I filmed 2 episodes with Reese Ibarra, the owner of Manu Devar.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
So the first episode was filmed in the same place as where we done the first Tate episode, and that didn't bang that too much. Because I suppose the connection with me and him, that was the first time I was meeting. It wasn't.
I remember that might have been one of my first ones. I remember I listened to that because I remember you had reached out to him from before.
Yes,
and then he watched you grind, and that's why he chose to come on your podcast.
Like even Reese, he put this bet on me. So I remember I'd done a podcast with Lewis Morgan, co-founder of Gymshark. This was like 30k subscribers, and then Reese watched it off the back of that naturally because they're friends. Yeah. And I asked Reese when he put it on a story, I was like, right, when am I getting you on? He goes, when you get 50k subscribers, you know, I'll jump on. And he gave his word. And I swear to you, from that point there, I just grinded it out. I was like, right, cool, we need to get this done. Yeah. And by the time I actually filmed with him properly, the one that was released, I think I was maybe on 100k, maybe something around that. And but no, he stuck to his word, bro. A whole year later, and we got it done.
So with a lot of the YouTube stuff, like, it seems like you've just fucking mastered the game. Like, how do you actually learn to do all of this? Is it just trial and error?
Bro, for me, it's just been trial and error. And I've just been learning constantly for the past 6 years. I'm kind of obsessed, and it's almost unhealthy, that obsession level where you just want to learn as much as you can.
That's sick, yeah.
Because algorithms are constantly always changing, and you just I just want to know what works. And so far, I've always changed everything, like titles, thumbnails, tags. Does this matter? Does that matter? So for me, it's just been constantly learning every single day. There's always something to learn.
What's now like? Obviously, you've got a team on your channel. How many have you got? What's their roles?
So I've got a team of, well, including freelancers, all that sort of stuff. Probably about 7 of us all together. So I've got about 3 full-time editors. As we spoke about this before the podcast started, backlogged a whole load of episodes, so they need to edit that. I've got someone who purely just does the trailers, and the team and myself all watched each single trailer. There's probably like 3-4 trailers produced for each episode. Then I've got a thumbnail guy who makes at least 20 thumbnails per episode. And then I've got a clips guy who does clips of social media.
What's your role then, apart from filming the podcasts? What's the day-to-day look like?
Oh, my day, well, it's funny now because now I've just wanted to buy back as much time as possible. I messaged you guys this before I started this podcast, or before I got it, shall I say, is that I've got a goal to make $1 million in 1 year alone in 2025.
Sick.
Next year. So for me to make that happen was just buy back my time. And now, at this current stage in life right now, me on a day-to-day basis, just planning everything according to that. And so just been setting up different websites for everything that's going to be going on, the whole infrastructure, planning, launches, what we're going to do in freaking Easter comes next year, Q1 events, Q2, etc. Literally the whole lot, planning for everything.
So let's talk about some of those new ventures, the new ideas. What can you or not say?
I can say everything, bro. I'm an open book, yeah.
So Mastermind next week,
yeah,
right?
Mastermind next week. So that's one of the... Well, that's not even a full venture, to be fair. That's almost like just an extra to that goal of the $1 million.
So when are you calculating the $1 million from? When's it starting from? When you say next year,
starts from January 1st.
Start from Jan.
Yeah.
So January even so what's going on next week doesn't even count into that.
No. This is just, for me, next week is just proof of concept. There's no money being actually made from next week. It's just I'm breaking even, basically.
Okay.
We'll go into the whole cost of that later on shortly in a second. But yeah, so CEO Hub, which is a paid community. And I just thought, how can I provide people with as much value as possible, as well as being able to monetize it? For me, that was if I can do weekly webinars with people that I've met on the podcast or off the podcast, because I've met so many more people, business owners, who just aren't on camera. And so I can provide people, all the people who are subscribed in there, weekly webinars with these guys for the chance to ask them anything they want, gain as much value as possible. As well as that, do weekly calls with myself so we can come up with ideas or implement strategy and, go forward from there. And then obviously, naturally, it's going to be a networking hub as well. So that's hosted on School. So we got that.
Released today.
Yeah, you literally
I got the email.
Oh, you got the email.
8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah. How much is that?
So at the moment, it depends when is it coming out, this podcast, do you know?
2 weeks, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're not like you. It's not going to be 3 months.
No, because what I'm trying to say is basically right now, as it stands, is a Black Friday offer, which is 60% off. For this podcast, I will keep that offer there. So it's 60% off, which is $50 a month. However, it's going to go up to, obviously, a full price is $120 a month, which still, a lot of people are going to say that's a lot of money. However, if you actually know the value of what these entrepreneurs are going to bring you, what this community is all about, then you will know that this is a 10 out of 10 value for money sort of thing.
ROI,
yeah, exactly that.
We pay a lot more money than that for networking events, and this is weekly.
That's
and
what I'm
they do
saying,
work. I'm part of a lot of school channels, and that generally it's not. Obviously, it's like the meetings you go on, the Zooms you go on, but the people around you that you meet,
Yeah, that's what I'm
even
saying.
if you learn one little thing, you can
Yeah.
make more than your 49 quid back. You know,
100%.
Yeah, I mean, the way I priced it as, you know, how much is an average good book going to cost you? Maybe 20, 30 quid, something like that. If you're going to get 10 gems out of that versus an hour webinar answering your questions that you want from owners of businesses that you want to meet, that's more than 40 quid.
100%.
Do you know what I mean? And I'm pricing it all at $120 a month.
Why, quick side step, why are you talking in dollars? You have a lot of American.
it's just school, right?
Yeah, schools in dollars,
Oh, okay.
to be fair, yeah. So
Have you got a lot of American listeners?
20%?
Okay, that's pretty decent.
Yeah. So there's that. There's CEOCAST, obviously, as what I still do the podcast, essentially.
Can I ask you quite a deep question?
Yeah, go on.
How much do you make from the podcast?
Right now, in this current stage in life, not that much, only because I haven't done sponsor in ages, and I've just been focusing on building everything outside of the podcast. I think the last payment, where are we now? November. So October, I probably would have made $7,000, which, don't get me wrong, to a lot of people is going to be a lot of money.
Yeah.
But I've had months
for the size of
where,
your channel.
yeah, I've had months where I've made 30, 40, etc., so on and so forth. And they're better months, but I've just, at the moment, I haven't done a single sponsor in so long.
So over a year
Why?
period, how much do you make off the podcast?
This year, I probably end it on 150K. Yeah, which ain't bad. Yeah,
It's good.
And that's just literally taking, appreciate, bro. That's just like slow pace sort of thing.
So why aren't you doing sponsors at the minute?
Because, so if I'm going to go into the CEO hub, I want to be, sponsors are great. It's got to be a brand that really I connect with, and something that can benefit the audience massively. So that's what we're going through that phase right now of getting the right ones on board. And secondly, I want to promote my own product as well, which is a CEO hub and anything else that we do further along the line, whether it be any physical items or any other services that we provide. So it's not that I'm fizzing out from brand deals, but I want to put myself in a position where I'm in control of my own sponsorships and stuff like that.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And what was the other thing? So the other thing is, off the back of what I said earlier on in this podcast, I think, is I found myself in a position where a lot of people, businesses are coming to me for advice on content creation or strategizing content. And I think I've probably helped about 7 to 8 people right now. And so I just clocked, hold on, this is a business I'm charging for I ain't even charging for mentorship.
Mate, coaching is the way forward.
Yeah, literally, yeah. And so I had a one-to-one call with a good friend of mine, William Brown, who was on a podcast, and he was like, mate, you need to charge this and all that sort of stuff. So that's something that's going to be coming in 2025 as well. And that's, I say low ticket. For what it is, it's low ticket. It's going to be roughly about 6K per person, help for 3 months, 90 days, strategizing content, making sure we're hitting your goals and all that sort of stuff. And at 5K each, if it's split into 3 entities, we only need 6 per month customers to make $30,000.
Yeah,
which is
that's good.
That's the way I've calculated $1 million. You know, you need 83 bags a month to make that. Split into 3 entities, it's about 30 grand each, roughly. So that's that at the moment. And then obviously the masterminds as well, which is just extra income to help hit the goal.
Yeah.
Have you worked it out to the million?
Well, I could literally show you a full-on
I love
whiteboard.
that.
Of all
He
that
does that
stuff.
stuff.
Yeah,
He done one for $1 billion before.
Yeah,
Yeah, man, it's got to be done, and because once you start at once you start breaking it down, you start at the goal and you break it down and you get right up to today, then it's like you actually start. Sometimes you look at it and you think, you know what, I could double that.
Yeah,
Like,
literally,
you know what I mean?
yeah, exactly
And you're
that,
like,
yeah.
It's
I broke it down and I was like, hold on, because $1 million in my head sounded crazy at first. $1 million in 1 year, you must be mad. And then I broke it down and I was like, this ain't that bad at all. And then our last thing, obviously, just if one falls short, the mastermind's there. I was there to pick it up.
Yeah, nice. Man, I think you smash it. I mean, you can there's so many people starting podcasts, and obviously you've already done it. Like you've walked you've
Literally,
got the
bro.
knowledge. You know.
There's people with money that don't have a personal brand that want to build a personal brand.
Everyone
Because
understands.
personal brand is the new currency.
Yeah.
And you've done it.
Everyone
And
understands that. It's
you've
all
now
about
got the
personal
people.
brand.
You've got the people that have the money as well.
Exactly,
So
yeah.
it's just
Yeah, so it's all about that.
I reckon that will be the best one.
Hopefully so, bro.
High ticket, man.
Yeah, high ticket. Yeah, there's literally exactly that, high ticket. And if you can sell them, then sweet, sorted.
Would you build a team around you to help deliver on it all?
Yeah, definitely. That's exactly why I've taken on more staff for CEOCAST, so I can buy back my time. Once again, it just all goes back to buying my time so I can strategize all of this stuff. If I didn't have any team, my head would be in the sand right now. There's too much going on. There's no way I'll be able to make $1 million in a year.
This episode of the pod is sponsored by The Investors Side, a thriving community dedicated to helping people unlock their potential, multiply their wealth, and level up their crypto journey. All four of us are part of this group, and it's the perfect place to dive into all things crypto. You might remember Dan, the crypto millionaire, who was a guest on the pod recently. He's the founder of The Investors Side and shares every single trade he makes with the community. Quick disclaimer, this isn't financial advice. Investing is always at your own risk. If you're interested in joining or want more information, check out the Investors Side link in the episode description below, or on Instagram, which is @theinvestorsSide.
Just back to the podcast. Would you say now it's easier in terms of guests, or have you hit a point where
No, it's definitely harder.
it's harder
Yeah.
because you've set expectation levels, and now you kind of probably look at quite a lot of guests that maybe before you thought were good.
It's not
but-
even expectation levels. How many episodes you guys done?
60 something.
You're going to hit a point and be prepared for it as well where you literally think, who the hell do I get on next?
Yeah.
And for me, that's my thing every single day. Who the hell do I get
The
on
only
next?
one person who you haven't had is who I think is like an internet sensation that we
Alex
listen to
Hormozy.
anyway, is Alex
I was gonna
Hormozy.
say that.
So I've
Literally, that's the only one.
mate.
I've got a US
And
trip
later.
planned in February, so hopefully we'll get him on there.
There's a
Both
load
them.
of America.
Later
If you
as
get
well.
Yeah,
Alex
literally.
Hormozy, oh mate,
That's the only one.
I'll
that
fly
I'm
out and
thinking.
do front
Another
seat
guy
for
who I
that.
discovered recently as well. His name is Dan Martel. You guys heard of him?
Yeah, I
before?
follow him
No.
on Insta.
Yeah, so I only found him maybe about a week ago, and I was listening to a podcast on the way here, and he's actually
Yeah,
quite
he's cool.
knowledgeable.
Big following?
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't even know who he was, but you know the thing is, there's so many entrepreneurs in America, obviously, naturally, because of the size.
many.
Yeah.
We don't hear about a lot of them, even the bait ones. You know, we just hear about your Hormozy's because he's expanded his reach out to here in
Yeah.
UK, Gary Vee, Grant Cardone, and the really, really top ones. But there's so many other guys who are still massive, but we just don't know about them in the UK.
You've
The
completed
alpha-
the UK though.
The alpha
That's the thing I
ones-
think about all the time, yeah.
The alpha guys like Bradley, Andy Elliott, those guys.
Yeah.
Have you seen them? They'd be wicked
Literally.
ones to get on.
I've done 90% of the UK who I think are the upper echelon of entrepreneurs. The only ones I
Yeah.
really want to get now who have been inspired me from the beginning are people like the guys who run, for example, GRM Posty, or the guy who runs Link Up TV Rashid. I did obviously want to get one day SPTV on, but rest in peace his soul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And after that, I don't even know who.
Have you ever thought about giving up yourself before?
no.
You never
Never?
crossed your mind? But you're sorry, 26 episodes in and started to fly. That's quite good. Like,
You know, for me, it was I couldn't give up. I had no plan B because I've got no qualification. I didn't go uni or nothing like that. Now the podcast has to work. Otherwise, I've got no job, no income. I'm not qualified to get an income. It literally is all this or nothing.
Yeah.
And I think when I was doing my podcast, that was the mentality of like, this is it. This is now or never.
Yeah.
I think I wouldn't say my parents had given up on me at that point, but I went down the uni route, dropped out. I went down the job route, got fired. Every single job I've had got fired. And I suppose I wasn't just cut out for that. And so this is it. It has to work.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm finished. Like,
What do you think is the quickest route for us to break even,
There's
so
no-
to monetize? Sponsors or
There isn't one. Give up.
There,
sell
no,
a
no.
product?
There's no quick route to it, to be fair. I always look at this as well, yeah. You might have a great guest, but the timing isn't right. Iman Gaji, back in the beginning, the first episode I done with him, he had a very good audience. My audience wasn't there. I was less than 10K subscribers. So great guest, but for me, wrong timing. You know, because not a lot of people know who I am. So I think going back to it, you know, if, for example, that CEO of Blockbuster guy, I guarantee you if he was on Diary of a CEO, it would bang.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Because how big
100%.
that platform is. So I think all of it is right time, right guest, and so on and so forth.
who do you want to get on that you haven't had on yet?
Dream guest.
My one's just straight America now, man.
Okay,
I want to
yeah.
get Hormozy on, Grant Cardone,
Yeah.
Gary Vee, Layla Hormozy, Alex
Yeah.
Hormozy. Don't know if I said him already.
You really want him
all
on,
of
you
that-
just say it twice.
yeah. No, I've been building a whole USA list, including a whole lot of content creators as well. I think it'll be sick to have YouTubers on.
Yeah.
Naturally, I'm a car guy, so all the car YouTubers, everyone in America, I'm going to go there for a month, and my plan is to at least film 50 episodes, which is 2 a day. I think I can do it. And if I do that, that's the whole of 2025 done.
Oh mate, that'd be
Literally.
unbelievable.
You know, we talked about backlog before. That's a backlog and a
yeah,
half.
that would be sick.
But no, if that's my goal right now.
How are you going to pull off the organisation then when it's those type of people? What's the approach? Just emails or?
Yeah, so when it comes closer to the time, so probably around mid to end of December.
You reached out to any of them?
Not yet, no. I think it's too early to reach out right now. You know, we can email now and reach out to them, but we're 3 months away. I think a lot of it comes down to emailing at the right time, saying we're going to be here in 2 weeks' time or a month's time, rather than, right, just hit us up at the time. A lot of them just naturally going to say that.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm going to hire a team literally just for outreach. hit him on Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, email, everything, so we can get their attention.
You must have some, obviously, ways in for your guests anyway, right? There must have some people that are
Going back to it, link through link.
Yeah, it's got to be.
See how Simon Squibb does it? That's actually a fucking sick one. You know the one you see the one he done with Lewis Hamilton. There was a girl that wanted to do the F1 driving.
Yeah.
Because he's got a big audience, like you got a big audience. Everyone tag him in the comments. So if you could use that, like for Alex Hormozy.
You know, with Alex Hormozy, this is another reason why I started it on school and not anything else. Because if I can build it massively and get into the school games, that's already a way in, right?
Yeah, it's great. I did get invited over anyway.
Yeah, literally, yeah, exactly.
You know who? Who's that guy that chills with the Tate guys?
Justin.
Justin thingy.
Justin Waller.
Yeah, because he's got a massive school, and I see he's in the ads with Alex Hormozy, chatting to Alex Hormozy.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So there's an.
I was meant to film with Justin when he was in Dubai, but then it just time didn't align or anything like that. But
mate, if
he's a sick guy as well.
Yeah, pulling off that America list will take you even.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, literally. That's what I think is the threshold for me right now, or the door to break down at the moment to grow to that next level.
When are you going to try and do that?
February.
You've compounded your subscribers as well, right? Because I remember not too long ago you was on 100, then you said at the beginning 230 something.
263 or something.
When you hit, I remember you putting up your numbers, or you put the 100k up, and it like suddenly it was like 110, like pretty quick. Soon after that, and you think you jumped to 10k so quickly, and then it is compounded. And 263, I didn't think it'd be on that from that. Crazy, isn't it?
I don't know what it is, to be fair. I think the great thing about podcasts, and you'll see this as well, you're going to get podcasts from a year ago that are still getting views now. You know, for example, one of my good videos that still does well is Tate's one, the first one that we done.
Yeah, the first one.
People are always going to find your content because you might talk about how to set up an e-com store. You might have, for example, Jack. You might have him on the podcast talking about.
Yeah, we had him on fucking ages ago. But if we have one about TikTok, actually.
You know what I mean? And if you title it right and everything, talk about TikTok shop, as it becomes more popular, people are going to research it on YouTube. Your podcast is going to pop up, bang, subscriber right there.
Can you talk us through the actual Andrew Tate second episode? Because at the time, I mean, obviously that year he was the most Googled man on the internet. There was a war in Russia.
The second episode,
and the second episode.
But the first episode, that's when he was the most Googled man.
Oh, was it that one?
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
So which one?
The second, let's go through this. The second episode.
Yeah, okay.
I feel like that's more famous at that point.
He was famous.
Yeah, but
in
the
sense
first
of
one blew up more, no?
First one blew up more because of the timing and he was on his meteoric rise. Second one is still on the verge of blowing up. I think it's on 4 million views right now.
I mean, he's come out of jail, come out of prison that time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And
that's why the second one.
You had to fly out, right?
Yeah, to Romania to do it. Yeah.
How many views did you get on the first? How many on the second?
First one, I'll check this right now because I don't actually know off the top of my head. Well, I do. Sounds obsessive, but I want to be exact.
To the point.
First one's on 5.1 mil. Second one, which is 8 months old, is on 3.3 mil. So when you look at it, that's 2 years old and 5.1 and 3.3, which is 8 months old. Second one's growing a lot quicker than the first one. First one, I think we said it in the beginning, just shot him an email. He replied and just got him on just like that because, he was just somewhat simple to get hold of then. Second one had his number, so I literally just WhatsApped him saying, yo, bro, you up for a podcast? And he was like, yeah, cool, let's do it.
Was you the first one that he done when he got out of prison?
No, he done quite a few, to be fair. I don't know if it was the first one. I was probably one of them. No, first one he done was with George Janko. Yeah, because I remember watching that podcast thinking, it was my one was already organised. Then George dropped his one, and I was like, oh, shit, now I've got to compete with George Janko in this episode. And so I watched that, and I realised, okay, we got a whole different conversation to go along with here. And then, second episode, flew out to Romania. And so the team who I work with now, who do all my editing and stuff like that, just to put this needs so much more breakdown, right?
I want to hear the whole context. Cool. Innit? That's why it's such a good story. It's such a sick story.
All right, let me sit up for this one.
Have a sip of water, boys. Yeah, come to you.
Cool. So I had come back from Saudi Arabia back in end of January or something like that. Or no, beginning of February. It was February 8th, I remember. February the 9th, I had a podcast with a guy named Riz. He's got a podcast called Words of Wisdom. He's based in Nottingham.
We're speaking to him actually, aren't we?
Yeah. So he's a sick guy. He's like my brother. So after Saudi Arabia, he came down, done a podcast with me, which is sick. And then I mentioned to him, oh yeah, by the way, I'm doing a podcast with Andrew Tate. And then he was like, bro, if you want us to come, then we'll come. We've got a whole production team up in Nottingham where, we'll fly out. Don't worry about any cost or anything like that. We'll fly out and make sure we get this Tate podcast done. I was like, all right, cool, sick. Bear in mind, it's my first time meeting Riz. Naturally, you're going to think, right, what does this guy want? But the energy was so great with him, and I'm quite good at reading people. I didn't see anything behind his veil. I just saw him straight. He just wanted to help. So once everything was all confirmed with Tate, I said to Riz, let's go for it. Bring your team out. Let's go to Romania. And we flew out on February the 13th at night. Got there, got the villa. Proper nice place it was. He came on February the 14th, next day, which is Valentine's Day. So we done a podcast with Tate on Valentine's Day. He was my Valentine.
Had a date.
Yeah, I had a date with Tate. On the day of landing in Romania, shall I say the night, I just messaged Andrew in a whim. I was like, do you think Tristan will be up for a podcast as well? And he's like, yeah, he'll come straight after me. So then I've woken up on the day with a sore throat. My throat is feeling mash up. The boys have gone to the shops, got some ginger shots and all that sort of stuff. Backed it down. Absolutely disgusting. Didn't help at all. And then I'm sitting there with Andrew for about 4 hours chatting away, obviously, for the podcast. And then I'm thinking, right, cool. My voice is going at this point, like heavily by the end of this podcast. And I'm thinking, right, I need to rest. I need to relax just for at least 45 minutes before Tristan comes so I can soldier it on through Tristan's podcast and get this podcast done. Andrew's left. Literally, the second Andrew left, I sat down on my bed thinking, right, I got a break. Second I sat down and put my head on the pillow, the boys were like, Tristan's outside. I was like, I wasn't thinking fuck, I was thinking, right, this is great, but also my voice is finished. And so if you're watching Tristan's episode, you can literally hear my voice deteriorate from the beginning to the end. But honestly, altogether, what a sick experience.
That's unreal.
And then we went out for dinner with them in the evening. We were going to vlog that. We were like, nah, let's just put the cameras away and just chill out. Enjoy it, yeah.
How is it? How is it off camera with?
Yeah, Riz went with us.
You look like friends, like when because obviously you used to film when you coming into the villa, right? Or he was coming into the villa, and you kind of like meet him. Like you actually look like
who?
You and Andrew.
Yeah. Because obviously we filmed before.
Yeah.
And we've linked up in Dubai previous to that. We were meant to film our second episode in 2022. So I remember when it was it was New Year's period 2022 going into 2023. And then I went to Dubai, spent about £1,500 on an economy ticket. Bear in mind, at this time, this is a lot of money to me. And then must have been another £2,000 on a hotel. So I'm thinking, yep, don't worry, it's going to be paid back because Andrew Tate, don't worry, cool. Second, we get to Dubai, open our phones, Andrew Tate detained in Romania. That's when we were like, oh, shit. So that's when the second episode was meant to be filmed. But, thankfully, it got delayed and filmed after.
Yeah,
too bad.
That's mad. So what's your opinion on like off camera? How are they? How are they to chill and go out for dinner with?
Off camera, they're sick. They're both solid guys. Like, they're easygoing, easy to talk to. They're just, honestly, they're just chilled out. And you probably wouldn't even want me saying this, but off camera, it's the same morals and principles that he stands by, but volume minus 10 compared to when he is on camera. So he could literally be sat here right now, if the cameras are off, just chilling out, having a conversation. You can ask him about business, you can ask him about girls, you can ask him about life in general, and he'll just chill with you.
Yeah.
Right, he'll be there smoking a cigar.
You can tell. You can tell that though, innit? You can see it's a marketing technique to just
to get people
go,
in there.
just to ramp
even
it
Tristan,
up
off camera after
get
the
people
podcast,
shaking up a bit.
Yeah,
I actually prefer Tristan's one. I think
so Tristan is interesting because we done the whole podcast and everything. As I said, that was organised the night before, so there was no structure to that. I hadn't written any notes. I don't know anything about Tristan. Obviously, I know that he's Andrew's brother. And so on the podcast, it was literally just off a whim. Let's just see where this goes. And we had a great conversation, to be fair. And then even off camera, he was telling us stories about him and Andrew growing up in Luton, what it was like, the fights he used to get into, boxing, all of this and all of that. And it was just like, right, you're actually just like us. Literally, I know these are the most famous guys on the planet, but they are just like us.
Yeah, it's crazy.
From wherever we all come from,
from London.
How did you feel like when you had that? Like you said, they are the most famous people like in the world at that point, and you've got them there. Like, how did you feel?
Naturally, I'm, I suppose, in that situation, giving it, nervous guy. Because I just want to make sure, I'm there for a podcast, I want to make sure everything goes well. I want to make sure the production team are on point. So I'm a bit jittery, but at the same time, I'm also relaxed because I know the production guys are 10 out of 10 what they do. But it is nerve-wracking at the same time. You're thinking this could potentially be the two biggest episodes I've done. Make sure I'm prepared for this shit.
That's mad. So question in terms of, you mentioned notes, to what level do you typically prepare for a podcast? And is it just the biggest guests that you try and do as much research as possible, or do you do that with all your guests?
Anyone always do as much research as possible. So, for example, prior to doing this podcast, I asked, who was I speaking to on Instagram, by the way?
Oh, it was between me and Harry.
Okay. So I would have asked one of you guys, is there
He
anything
did
you
speak
want
to
know?
me for like one message
1
on
second,
mine
yeah.
and
It's
said,
just
yeah, I'll do it, mate. And then didn't hear back. I was like, you're still coming on the podcast? And then I see Mario.
What, do we speak before?
On my Insta, because I dropped you an email for our account, and then you DM me saying, "Oh mate, I see your email. I'm up for coming on."
Oh,
I was like,
okay,
"Wicked,
I
let's
don't
do it."
even-
And then I never heard back. So I said to Mario when I was with him, because he said about CEOCAST. I was like, "Oh mate, he said it'd come on. Drop him a message."
I have to apologise for
That's
that.
right. No, it's all right.
But
But
your inbox must be full anyway.
that's what I
innit?
said. I said,
it's mental.
Mario's like, he's got your WhatsApp. I was like, "Oh, can you just message him?" And then he messaged you.
Yeah. But no, prior to doing the podcast, obviously, I asked if there's anything you want to know. So whenever I go into a podcast with a guest, I'll always give them a little form saying, give me a brief bio on yourself, who you are, your age, what you do. The more detail you give, the better the questions and the better the podcast will be. If they're fairly known on social media, a great tool I use a lot nowadays, ChatGPT. I'm doing a podcast with so-and-so. Give me a list of questions. I literally done this yesterday for the crypto podcast. I was like, I'm doing a podcast with a guy who's involved in crypto. As a beginner, give me all the questions I should know, and literally just bang.
And
bang,
that was
bang,
the prompt
bang,
you
bang.
put in.
That was
Exactly,
the prompt.
Sometimes
you
it
put,
does. I suppose I think ChatGPT, you just got with the questions and stuff. You've used it a few times as well.
Yeah.
It's like there's some rubbish ones in there,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
like
yeah.
you can twist some of them. Like,
Yeah.
okay, nah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah,
that's
but even
rubbish.
if it gives you a crap answer, you could say no, but I want it like this, or I want it like that, and then
that's
it'll
the best
give you more
thing.
questions. Yeah.
Don't take it as this
Yeah.
is the first answer, right?
Or sometimes if the guest is massive and they've been on quite a few podcasts and they're about to come on mine, it's like, right, let's listen to the other podcasts, see what they spoke about, what can I speak about different, but also relevant and interesting in the way they do. And a lot of it, sometimes, I'll be honest, it's just I've done, near 200 episodes now. A lot of the questions, I wouldn't say are the same in all episodes, but they're the same structure, same type of question, just tailored in a different way for that guest. So it all sounds like an interesting episode, but the audience don't know it's kind of the same question, just worded up a bit different.
Yeah.
And I think naturally a lot of it just comes from my own curiosity. You know how I'm asking you guys about your own businesses, what you do, how long you've been doing this podcast for. It's just I just get intrigued.
That's what, like, same with us. Obviously, we've all listened to your podcast a lot, so I guess we already technically have done research.
Yeah.
But really, most of this we said 3-4 questions that we want to ask, and then apart from that, we just
It's just they've all just come up naturally.
just
I've
go
just
with
looked
it.
at photos like,
Naturally
yeah,
anyway,
we've done
yeah.
that, we've done that, and it's like, it's just natural.
That's
It's-
why I like, though, Joe Rogan. Like, his is an extreme where that's like 3-4 hours sometimes. Or at
What's
least
his
a few
subscribers?
hours.
How many subscribers has he got?
I don't
He's
even know,
the
bro.
biggest.
All I know is
Different.
Spotify got him for 250M. That's
Yeah,
all I know.
that's
That's all I
mad.
need to know. Yeah.
That's mad.
I don't understand the restructure deal though, because originally it was 100 million for just exclusive on Spotify, so it wasn't anywhere else.
Yeah.
Obviously, you had your little clips here and there on YouTube, but the re-sign of the deal is $250 million, and he's not even exclusive on Spotify. He can be on YouTube, he can be on Twitch or anything he wants to
Yeah,
be.
I don't get that.
You've got more money, more freedom.
Yeah, literally more money freedom. I don't even
Negotiation.
understand it. Yeah, literally negotiation or what? But in a Spotify makes sense. I don't know how that makes sense because it's not exclusive.
Did I read something? I think you put up your story £800 for someone to.
Oh, that was just
do a
clickbait.
thumbnail.
Yeah, that was just clickbait. Yeah.
Oh, was it? Okay,
Yeah,
fair
yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. And that, yeah.
Yeah,
you
no, I
posted
just
it up ages ago, and I
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
it.
I just wanted just people to think, well, this guy paid £800 for a thumbnail. Let me see what the video is actually about. If it's that special. And it worked because it banged 150,000 views. Yeah, so it worked. Yeah, sometimes you just got to market things right. I think what was like, for example, Samuel Lee's episode, I marketed that one quite good. That was, the title of it was Confronting Samuel Leeds.
Exposing
Guru or Entrepreneur.
Yeah,
Obviously,
yeah,
me and him
yeah.
both knew exactly what was going on. He knew I'm not trying to out him or trying to...
He does it himself.
He does it himself. He loves it as well. You know what the great thing about Samuel, yeah, is he gives you full reign because he understands the game. There's a lot of people who I've done podcasts with who literally want to have control over the thumbnail and title, which is somewhat annoying because I know what I'm doing. They don't necessarily know what they're doing, but they want to make sure that they're represented the best ways, which is understandable. But they don't know the game because they want views at the same time, which don't make no sense. But yeah, Samuel's one is great. So because that was titled, Entrepreneur or Guru, and then on YouTube I put up saying this episode was interesting. I wasn't going to release this because I thought it was deep, but here we are, LOL. And that banked views in the first
Sam
24
listened
hours.
to
Yeah.
that. He writes in the chat like, you need to listen to this one.
I think the best marketing I've done was so sick. Yeah.
I know what you're going to say. Is this going to be my question? The one with UVU?
Yes.
That's what I was about to say.
The sickest
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
episode, right?
That was.
was it?
I don't even know actually. No, that wasn't 100th episode. That was 100K special.
Okay, yeah,
That was it,
100K.
yeah.
So
Well, we talked about that. That was in our group chat. Like we
so
all watched
confusing.
it.
Because I was like, is he
Bro,
not
Did you
twin or
actually
is he not
delete
got a
it?
no, it's still there.
Yeah,
said
because you said
delete
you're
it.
gonna delete
Oh
it.
yeah, because that was the title. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I was thinking,
I'm
when you
deleting
said that-
Deleting it in
24
48
hours.
hours.
I'll
I've got to
delete
watch it
later.
right now.
Yeah. No, so the second I knew I was going on this Islamic pilgrimage, which involves me shaving my hair, I was like, this is gonna be sick content because I'm gonna do me versus me. And yeah, so the title of that one was I'm deleting this in 24 hours or 48 hours, whatever it was. I thought, let me try that. And then on Instagram as well, I was like, me and this guest have just had beef, you know, F this guy. I could say all of this, by the way, because of myself.
Yeah.
And it was so fun just playing with it. F this guy, you know what, me and him got beef, but you know what, I'm just going to release this episode for 48 hours only. That's the agreement we've come to. I remember I was in Turkey at the time for a charity trip. Yeah, we flew from an area called Adana to Istanbul, and the episode just released as I was taking off. And I remember when I landed, which is only an hour flight, the episode was on 30,000 views. That was Tate levels of 30,000 views in one night. I was like, what the hell? This is mental. And then I saw I didn't think it was going to do that well. So I would have deleted it in 24 hours. But because it was doing so well and people actually enjoyed it, I was like, you know, let me just keep you up there.
Oh, it's mad.
How
He's
many
like,
views did it get in the
he
end?
has a twin. He has a twin.
Right now, I think it's on 75,000 views. You know the amount of people that have asked me since the episode, have you actually got a twin? And it's crazy because I think that was done so well.
It was cool.
People
that
actually believed it. I think we were talking about it earlier, innit? And we actually said, I don't even think you said at the end that you
Yeah,
it's
no, I
not
just
real.
thought let's-
You
yeah,
just
I
went
was-
along with it
yeah.
still.
Because I was like, oh, right. I actually thought you had a twin for like, and then someone in the chat was like, no, it definitely doesn't. Like, it was him the whole time.
Yeah,
Like, what? I was like, you did it mad. Like,
Yeah,
the way it was
that,
filmed.
that
Like, it was
episode
clever.
was so hard to film as well.
Yeah.
Because it was,
I can imagine.
it was,
yeah.
for example, let's just say one of us doing you're interviewing me, right? As just one of my boys. I'm telling you, ask this question, ask that question, do this, blah, 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 blah. And then, so that my side's recorded as the answers. And then when I've come back from my pilgrimage and recorded the second bit, which is the twin bowled me, I've basically rewatched the footage on the side, the camera's in front of me, and I'm literally repeating everything you are saying, from your laughter to your ums to your butts, all of it. And then I thought it was going to be easy editing. It was the longest thing ever because you've got Harry edit as well?
Yeah.
You would know this. I'll automatically sync up the camera footage, but this, I literally had to piece it block by block. That was there. All, it was just mental, bro. But
Worth it.
yeah, worth it.
Sick
Yeah,
that was
definitely
good.
worth it,
That was a good way to
Sticks
hit the
out in
100K.
people's memory
Yeah,
as well.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
you'll remember.
I love
it.
that episode. I do want to do another one like that, but I don't know how.
I was gonna say, are you thinking of
figure out
like?
hair
are you
out.
constantly-
Triplet.
That's another one.
Are you trying to just constantly think of like out there marketing
Yeah,
ideas?
kind of. Yeah, I think a podcast can naturally get boring, as
Yeah.
in just running a podcast. I think for me, I always want to find ways to just keep it going and best marketing ways. Just have fun with it and see where I can blow it up and what I can do here and there, and just make sure that we're exposing ourselves even more.
What about social media content? Taking like, have you thought about pivoting in different type of content rather than just the podcast clips?
Yes, yeah. So I'm doing exactly that. So I'm going heavy on my personal brand for 2025 as well. Going heavy on my own Mr. CEO channel, which is linked in the description. Thanks, boys. Going heavy on TikTok, Instagram, almost just about my journey, my experiences, what I've learned from entrepreneurs, all this. So it kind of goes hand in hand with CEOCAST, but I feel like building a personal brand, the structure of it is where it's at.
Yeah.
And it would help a lot. I look at, for example, someone who I'm inspired by a lot is Mike Thurston, right?
Yeah.
So he started his podcast, First Things First. The podcast was great, but I think a lot of the reason why he gets a lot of views in it and stuff as well is because of his own personal brand. And I understand it. He's a great guy.
Yeah,
he
he's
knows
a
exactly
sick
what he's
guy.
talking about. Yeah,
Yeah.
Like he's got the audience there from the get go. I think if you can somehow make the audience attached to you as well as the guest, they're not just coming for the guest anymore. So episodes like the CEO of Blockbuster, people are coming for you. What are you learning about it? How is this going for you? But if people don't know who you are because you haven't got a personal brand, they're just watching for the guest now. Does that make any sense?
Yeah,
That's
that's where
like
we
Joe
struggle
Rogan.
as well,
They
innit?
have guests that aren't even that big on, like even now, the biggest podcast.
Yeah.
1 week he's got Elon Musk. The next week you got someone that like they don't even have a
That's what I'm saying,
Instagram account and
because they've
stuff,
got
and he's
like
like, fuck
the
it.
host will
like,
have a personal brand. Look at Joe Rogan; he's banging. He gets anyone on.
Yeah.
just because you know Joe Rogan is such a big name.
What's have you got like a most memorable moment like from doing the podcast?
I feel like it might have been when I hit 100K. I don't know why it was memorable, but I think it's just an obvious one to say 100K.
got your
Hey.
plaque.
Yeah, got the plaque. Maybe the most memorable one was the first time doing an episode with Tate, because once I'm in the podcast, I'm not deep in what's happening. And I remember when he left, and us boys went to get food, and then I walked out, and I was like, "What the hell just happened? Like, this is mental." So that might have been one. And then
You know how you've seen Rob Moore when he did Boxer, and it was
Eubank.
weird Eubank.
Yeah.
Have you seen it? And
Oh,
and
man, that's
you gotta
weird.
watch it, mate.
It's
Because Eubank was
fucking
moving.
done an
awkward.
episode of
like,
Eubank, is it?
But it was moving
Right,
like
it was
weird.
odd.
Like he was moving weird. They did it in a weird hotel like room, and it
Eubank's
was just
just
like,
a dog.
and he was
he
moving.
nuts.
he said like Eubank, wasn't it like he didn't speak to him when he got there. He weren't speaking to him. You know, normally we're chatting earlier. He just sat there, wouldn't talk to him. I think I'm pretty sure that's correct. And then yeah,
I've got this special bag here. You don't know what's in the bag, but something really nice in the bag. But like, I'm not going to tell you what's in the bag. But that's like,
odd.
It was really.
Have you had any weird experiences? Has everyone been pretty normal?
no, everyone's been pretty normal.
Yeah.
Everyone's been pretty
Invite
normal.
Chris Eubank on, that'll change.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe so. Yeah, maybe so. I've actually had Connor Ben shout me saying he wants to come on as well. So that's gonna be interesting.
Yeah,
Gonna
that'd
ask
be
him
cool,
straight
man.
about Eubank Senior.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting. But no, just
Yeah, you must get that a lot of people reaching out to you saying, "Can I come on your platform?"
Yeah, there's a fee to that, mate. No, there should be, to be fair. Yeah.
Have you ever paid for a guest?
Yeah, Alfie Best Senior, billionaire.
Yeah,
So I thought
serious
he was
guy.
going to charge me serious money. He charged me £750, which is such an awkward amount because I was like, I don't mind paying, but it's so awkward because you're a billionaire, but you're charging so cheap. So
Yeah.
like, I don't understand what the point of charging is.
Yeah, it's just
But,
like
yeah,
point
no, yeah.
charging.
And it was unlimited time as well. And so, yeah, just paid that. He's
Yeah,
a
that's
good guy.
That's cool.
Is that the only one you've paid for?
That's the only one I've ever paid. No, I ain't,
Have you
ain't
had
paid
anyone
one.
asked for money and you said no?
No.
Oh really?
No,
Nah, so they get so much coverage out of
I
it.
just
We
think
had, didn't we?
it's-
The
it's- we had
Reebok founder.
The Reebok founder try to charge like 1,500 or something.
Really?
But he didn't even have a big. I just thought.
You know, in a podcast world, go look at ROI. Like, am I going to get 1,500 out of it?
Yeah.
For you guys, I'm really 60 grand deep, so you got 6150 now.
But 750.
Oh mate,
No,
I
that's
just
what I'm
think like it could be a downhill spiral because if other guests start finding out, they might say, "Well, if you're paying him, I won't pay." And then
Yeah, literally, exactly that. Yeah.
And
And sometimes it's not. It depends who the guest is. If it's worth paying. If it's, for example, a Tate level guest, and it's going to get you.
We'd
Yeah.
pay you a lot of money for. We'd pay
Yeah, if
60
it-
bags.
the
So
thing is-
take it 100%.
yeah, and then
Good
YouTube
ring.
takes it down on the first day. And
Oh,
we're
mate.
But you don't get monetized, do you? If you do
What's that?
do one of Andrew Tate, that's a problem, isn't it?
Get you
Well, no,
subscribers,
but the
wouldn't
thing
it?
is, if you time it right and you do it well, then you can get a sponsor to pay for that money. So I'll give you a great example. Yeah. So one of my friends also wanted to do a podcast with Tate. Tate was charging him 20K.
Oh, what he
Um,
does charge? People.
Yeah, he does charge people. Yeah.
Mad.
You got him on for free
I'll get him for free
both times.
both times.
That's your boy.
That's my guy. But no, so my boy was he was charging him 20K, and at the time it was just difficult for my mate to get a sponsor just because Tate had been going through the worst on social media and media in general with making him look bad. So a lot of brands, they don't want to reach out, or they don't want to put their brand on that podcast with someone who's in the limelight like that because it doesn't make their brand look good. So to cover that 20K would have been a nightmare. But for example, if someone had sponsored my episode with Tate, the first time I done one of him, you could have easily charged 6 figures for that. And that would have been a great time to do it. Even if you charge 50 grand, then there's 50 grand profit in that. So literally it just all comes down to timing and who the guest is.
So with your sponsors, what's the most you've charged a sponsor? And how do you usually structure those deals?
The most I've ever charged for a sponsor, it would have been 50K for the Tate sponsor for that one video, the second podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What was that? What was the sponsor?
that
Who
again?
sponsored it at that time?
Some crypto guy in America.
Oh, really?
No, he wasn't crypto, he was trading, I think it was. Something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
50 bags.
But the thing is, at that price point, they know what they're getting.
Is this
So
where
for
you
them-
cut in on the video and then you talk about it?
Yeah. For them, they just know they're getting brand awareness. At that point, they don't even care about, ROI. A lot of these people will just want their brand on that
Be
episode.
known.
Yeah, to be known. Yeah.
That's mad.
Yeah.
Okay, apart from that, on the biggest with sponsors, how do you usually structure it per episode, or have you tied people in for like 3 months before?
Yeah. Now I'll just do monthly retainers because before it used to be, sponsor by episode sort of thing, and then it was just a headache because you'll have one sponsor in the month and then a big gap of no income coming in or nothing like that. So now it's just straight. If you want to sponsor us, it's a monthly retainer. There's no conversation about it. Like we're not even interested in one-offs anymore, just because it's just ball ache for us, and it doesn't work well for the brand either. Because we read it somewhere that I think someone's got to see a brand over 3 times for them to actually act upon it. Otherwise, they're not going to do it. They're not going to act upon it anyway. So that one-off sponsor isn't going to work. You're going to burn your money, and it's not worth my time. So now it's just straight monthly retainers. For example, a great one who understood this from the get-go.
Mario.
Yeah. he's been sponsoring CEOCAST for I don't even know. I think it's been so long that it just automatically goes in episodes without even knowing if he's sponsoring the episode or not. I think it was maybe a solid year straight, all up front. And he was like, yeah, go for it. So he just understood the power of sponsoring, basically. And he sponsors a lot of shows. So he's a great guy for sponsorships. But you do get some picky brands and they want this, they want that. And
did you ever reach out to anyone to sponsor like back in the day? Or has it always come to you? You used to reach out to people?
Yeah, so like, I'll give you an example. I think one of the first sponsors I done was with a brand called Lord Timepieces. It was like £70 watches. They look like APs, Rolexes, so on and so forth. And I had that before the podcast anyway, just because that's the only thing I could afford. And this guy wasn't on social media or nothing like that. The brand was. They obviously had a social media presence, but I just thought, how can I actually reach out to this guy, whoever owns it, and get a sponsorship done? And so the way I done that was just Company's House. Just research who the guy is, found him on Company's House, went back on the Instagram, searched for the name. His name was there. I thought it said, and the thing is, it said dentist in his bio, but it was the only name that matched. And so I put it on there, followed him. Turns out he was the guy that was running the company, Lord Timepieces. And eventually, after maybe 2-3 months of just speaking, like, hey bro, how you doing? All that sort of stuff. He just said, yeah, let's sponsor. And I think that was £200 or £250 an episode for a month or 2 months. At the time, which was a lot of money. This is before 5k subscribers, 10k. I don't even know what it was at the point. But he was very, very early in it. And so that was my first experience of reaching out to a sponsor and seeing what's what. And now going back to his team, there's one more person who does all the sponsorships as well.
Oh, is there?
But yeah, now it's just, as I said, going back to trying to find the brands that reach or work the most with the audience, which is entrepreneur driven. So we want to work with accountants or website builders and Shopifyers and all of this and all of that to make sure people actually valuing what we're bringing.
Yeah, nice. That's what we want to be hitting at some point.
Yeah, and the thing is, the business world is where the money's at as well. Even 100%. Anything finance related on YouTube, TikTok, mans are getting paid.
Yeah.
Your phone book must be madness. Mm-hmm. Do you keep in contact with a lot of the guests that you have on?
I do my absolute best. It is the most difficult thing. You can't naturally message all those people, otherwise I'd probably need someone full time to just keep the relationships there.
Yeah.
But I think naturally the people on my phone book are all busy anyway.
You tap into them, like
you tap into them, see what's what. You follow them on social media, or give them story replies, just let them know that you're still there, sort of thing, and that you still exist. But I think that's a full-time job in itself. But once again, going back to it, the beauty of business is the fact that they're all busy anyway, so they're not constantly going to be messaging you either. But
they know you, like if you're both in Dubai at the same time.
Yeah, they will link up, we'll do this, do that.
Yeah,
I think, like for example, when Luke Belmo was in London, we already knew each other. When he was in London, went to go see him. If Iman's in London, go and see him. If I'm in Dubai, go link up with Amrid Amwell, Tam Khan, whoever it may be. They just know you, innit? It's just like you're friends, I suppose. You might not speak to each other or see each other on a daily basis, but you're still friends enough to go and see them.
That's what you understand in business, that whereas like people that like friends that aren't in businesses and that they think it's I don't want to say it's
too full on a relationship, isn't it? Like when you're in business, it's
they don't like that's how it goes. Sometimes I don't reply to people for a couple of days or whatever. And
that's how it goes, yeah.
That's
like standard.
No, it's fine. It's weird. It's like they're busy, I'm busy, but like they don't get it.
Yeah, like I think like me and Mario, when I say we speak on a regular basis, in the business world, that's a regular basis. It might be a week or 2 weeks apart from replies, but that's kind of like a regular basis. One of my close friends, Kazi, Property by Kazi, once again, regular basis in terms of entrepreneurship world, but that's like 3-4 days replies. Sometimes I'll try and call him, he don't answer, or he'll call me randomly at a whim. It's just sick. I think it's just, if you can keep the connections there and just keep everyone sweet and make sure you leave them on a good impression, they will always be around. If someone leaves you for the first time and they've got that sour taste in their mouth from your attitude or anything like that, whatever you do, that friendship's dead. That friendship ain't happening. But if you leave them on a good, like, oh, this guy was good, man, this is a sound guy, that's why your first impression counts the most. People always remember that, and then they'll always be there for you.
For those that want to follow you, what's your personal Instagram? What's your podcast Instagram? Socials?
Personal Instagrams at Raheem K. CEOCAST Instagrams at CEOCAST. YouTube is at Business CEO X and at CEOCAST. Check out the school community. School.com/CEO Hub. The link is in the description. Thanks, boys, once again. That is it from me, I think. Yeah.
Perfect.
Legend.
Go check it out.
That's one.
Make sure to follow us on all of our socials at the Multipliers Club. Our personals are at JoeTodd23.
At the Travel Entrepreneur.
Luke, this is fucked.
Follow Luke.
Just
on
follow Luke on
Instagram.
Insta. I know it. It's Luke underscore Harvey
underscore
underscore
HW. I'm sure the Multipliers Club is the Multipliers Club podcast.
Nah, they'll find it. On that note, we appreciate you coming down,
sick.
Raheem.
Appreciate
Wicked
you as well.
episode.
Yeah, legend.
Yeah, definitely. Appreciate
Pleasure
you
meeting
guys.
you, mate.
Oh, thank you, man.
Appreciate
Learned
it.
a lot.